Everybody, what's going on? I hope you guys are having a good day. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and welcome to drboycetv.com and the Black Financial Channel. Today, we are going to talk about a lot of Black economic issues, and we have some really smart people here that are going to help us address that. Now, as you come in, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, share, subscribe button, and put your hashtag B1 in the chat to let us know that you're Black first. That's very, very important. And so today, I had the honor of speaking with a couple of people that also participated in an event that occurred just a few days ago by Education Over Entertainment. It's called Spring into Wealth. And you guys heard me talk about it, and it was extraordinary. And I was super impressed with what I saw. And a lot of people there learned a lot of great things from a lot of really intelligent Black people that came with the funk and brought amazing. When I say come with the funk, I sound like Roland Martin. So that's another conversation. But you know what? Even Roland's not all bad. And so today, my two special guests are Jessica Parker and Kash-Wayne Campbell. And now, from what I have gathered, Kash-Wayne, I've never met Kash-Wayne before, but you have, it looks like, what was it, the Real Estate Coaching Podcast? Is that correct?
Yes, the Real Estate Coaching Podcast. We're actually in the middle of rebranding that right now to Get Cash with Cash. So we should be relaunching that podcast.
Get Cash with Cash. Nice. I like that. And your name has the word cash in it. So, I mean, that's your real name, like growing up as a child?
Well, it's actually pronounced like in Pakistan they would say Kash-Wayne. There's a lot of Indian influence in where I come from, the island of Jamaica. So the proper way to pronounce it will be Kash-Wayne. But here in America, you will pronounce the K as a C. So you would say Kash-Wayne, but it's actually pronounced Kash-Wayne. But the Cash sounds cool. Growing up, so I just rolled with that.
Yeah. Okay, well, you know what? Forgive my ignorance on the pronunciation. I thought it was Cash too, but Kash, I think I want to pronounce your name right. And Jessica Parker, now you are also involved in real estate. I know that, and I've worked with you in the Black Business School, and you actually helped put together or make the connections, and you were heavily involved in the Education Over Entertainment event. I mean, I wouldn't have been involved had it not been for you. And so I want to welcome you, first of all. And also, I guess just start by jumping in and just saying, what brings you here? What made you two feel compelled to want to come and talk in front of this audience? Because the reason I asked that question in opening the framework is because I asked Taryn, the producer, I said, okay, we had spring into wealth. Are we here to talk about that or real estate? Because I know you both are experts in real estate. And then there's just sort of the Blackness and Black wealth thing. So honestly, I'm handing a lot of the conversation to you. So I'll start with you, Jessica. What's the first thing on your mind?
Sure. Well, first off, thank you for having me. I know I've connected Aaron Owens and Stephanie DeBerry onto the Dr. Boyce TV show before. And so it's an honor to be here finally with you. I definitely love playing the behind the scenes role. But I really wanted to just continue the conversation today and zone in on the importance of Black leaders in today's economic state more now than ever. And so bringing on Kash-Wayne, one of the individuals that I interviewed during the Spring into Wealth event, and then also just having this opportunity to talk to you, Dr. Boyce, about the realities of what is going on. That's really what we wanted to continue that conversation with you, just the vibes of Spring into Wealth and where we are today. And again, the importance of Black leaders in this economic state.
All right, so Kash-Wayne, let me ask you this. When we talk about Black leadership, usually, people are talking about like an activist in the streets, or they're talking about maybe a preacher with a perm, or something like that. But I think that there's also such a thing as Black economic leadership, and I wonder if that's discussed enough when you talk about Marcus Garvey, Dr. Claude Anderson, and some of the others that are leading the way on economics. What is your view on Black economic leadership, and where do you think we can do better?
Well, Dr. Boyce, let me start here. The Spring into Wealth seminar, I showed Jessica my notes, some of the notes that I took when you did that presentation. I think Black economic leadership is definitely important in our communities. Most families don't think past where they are right now. And even what you went over during the Spring into Wealth seminar, where you spoke about how individuals can really start to set themselves up with a small investment to set themselves up over 100 years, to really make sure the family is good, not only now, but over 100 years. So I believe we do need leaders who can share that information so people can understand how they can start to really empower themselves and their families to grow over time. Because, right now, I always tell people, this information that we're getting now, we were privileged to the information, but it was somewhere hidden in a book. Right now, with all this technology, with the daily shows that you do, people really have to take advantage of a lot of this knowledge.
Well, I'll tell you what, everybody in the chat, give me a yes if you agree with me that I believe this, and I want you to give me a yes in the chat if you agree or can find a way to agree with me. I believe that Black people can actually lead the world in economic intelligence. I believe that Black people can take the lead. I believe that Black people can be as good when it comes to making money, owning assets, things like that, as we are at so many other things that we're great at. Everything from entertainment, to sports. I believe that we're going to be great at this. So Jessica, tell me what your thoughts are as I share that idea. I'll call it a vision, but it sounds a little arrogant. I'm like I'm some visionary. I'm not a visionary, but that is my vision.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good one for us to aim for, and I believe we can do it. What do you think, Jessica?
Well, absolutely. And it's not even a thing for me. It's a no, because in a way, they limited our opportunity to be the leaders in these certain arenas, in these certain atmospheres. And so now that control based off of technology and based off us waking up, because that's really what happened. We got tired of being tired and realized we were the ones holding on to some of the things that were passed down to us. So as we realize that, we are now taking that power back and taking over some of the areas where we weren't allowed to and we were prevented. So knowledge is power. And now more than ever, we have access to that knowledge. So we will excel, and we already are excelling, just like the Black Business School. We're one of the largest online educational platforms. So I'm honored to be a part of that. But just in that, it's an example of pure leadership in an arena where we weren't always allowed to be leaders. When you think of the classroom, right? And how so many Black children have been taught by a white teacher for so many years, and it's been the norm. And it's crazy, because when I decided to homeschool, my family was like, wait, hold on. Why are you pulling them out of public school? Well, why not? Like, we were taught by our own. When you travel back into history, we were taught by our own. So what happened? Where was that disconnect? Now more than ever, you see so many Black families homeschooling. No wonder. So I guarantee you, our children will be the leaders of this country, of this world. And we are now becoming the leaders. And so I love that. And our next generations to come are definitely becoming empowered to be those leaders.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I agree. And so Kash-Wayne, I'd like to ask you about that. Now, you are a real estate expert, and you have a great podcast, and I can tell you're dedicated to your profession. So let me ask you this. How did you get into real estate? Who taught you, and what drove your interest? I mean, because you could be doing a lot of stuff. You could be a rapper. You could be, playing in the NBA or I'm being silly, but you know what I mean, the stereotypes, right? We have a lot of not many of our young men are guided in directions like that. So usually there's an influence. I'd like to know about your influence. Who got you going in this direction, and how did that all happen?
Definitely. I mean, let's start here. I mean, my family came here to this country in 1992. And, growing up as a child, I used to ask the hard questions, why are we, not trying to buy properties? Even when I was in high school, it's a question that I used to ask them, if we bought properties back then in the early 90s, imagine what they would be worth today. but everyone in my family really just had their head down. They just wanted to work really hard. And I just wanted to make a change. So I decided to get into the entertainment industry at the age of 16. I started promoting events. I got known in the neighborhood for being the guy that throws all the good parties. A few years in, a friend came to me and he said, you know what, you're promoting these parties, but I think what you should do is get into real estate. What I'm doing, you can actually promote the same way you do, but with real estate, you can make a lot of money. You can make a lot more money and you can have a lot more influence. So I said, you know what, let me take a look at this opportunity. To be honest with you, Dr. Boyce and Jessica, I was really just looking at it like a way to make money. But as I entered that classroom, what changed for me was I was no longer going to get a license. I was now going to change my legacy, because I realized as a youth, I didn't come from a background of business. But when I went into that classroom and the things that they were speaking about real estate, I realized there was a whole lot of information as a young Black man that I was never taught, that I was missing. So I went hard, because now I was focused on building an actual legacy. And the person who got me started was Mr. Reese Kenshin, one of my best friends till this day. And I thank him every day for changing my path in life.
Wow. Well, I love that. I think it's also great that you're giving. You said Mr. Reese. What's his last name?
Reese Kenshin.
Reese Kenshin. And I think that that's important. I think that all of us understand and appreciate the idea of giving respect to the elders who guided us. Like I promote Dr. Claude Anderson all the time, and I think that's just something that we should all just do. Because we didn't do it ourselves. Somebody helped us get off that path. And also, of course, my father, who was not my biological father, but he taught me a lot of things about manhood, and we're doing that for children now. And so in the year 2070, 2080, when we're old fogies, they're going to be the ones carrying the torch for us. And I think that also roots you into something. It lets you know that this ain't a solo race. You're in a relay race. You're running your leg. Somebody ran the first leg. You're running the second leg. Your child's going to run the third leg, or whatever the case may be. And if you think about it that way, it becomes easier. It's, achieving these big wealth goals are easier when you think of it in terms of teamwork, as opposed to thinking of it as an individual. Even if you talk about Black leadership, that's teamwork. We're all leaders. We all play a part. We all lift the load. We all jump in. We all, are fighting in our own way, as opposed to sitting back and saying, okay, so what are you going to do next? Like, Black leader, lead me. Like, like that's not going to get us anywhere. So, by the way, everybody, if you just tuned in, I'm talking to Jessica A. Parker and Kash-Wayne Campbell. And we're talking about real estate, Black wealth, and legacy, and a lot of other important issues. Hit the thumbs up button. Please hit the thumbs up, share, subscribe button if you haven't done that yet. And also, if you want to go visit theblackbusinessschool.com, there's a URL. You can get started for free. There's stuff you can do in there for free. There's stuff for every budget level, including free. So feel free to go take a look. Talk to one of our specialists, see what they have to say, and see if we can help your family. So, Jessica, let me ask you this: ownership. Let's talk about the word ownership. Sure. Why is ownership important to you, and why do you think Black people should own things?
Yeah, well, I want to take it back to real estate and even banking, and I'll connect it to ownership. So in the banking industry and in the real estate industry, they did not want Black leaders, right, owning banks and being able to sell real estate. So, Kash, I'm not surprised that you weren't really exposed to a lot of that education about the importance of ownership, because when the National Association of Realtors was created, we as Black people were not able to become realtors. And so we created our own association, and I'm humbled to be on the leadership board for the Women's Council of DMV, which is a chapter of NARAB, which was the association that Black realtors started because we weren't able to be a part of NAR. And that is also with banking as well. So taking that, right, and realizing that we needed our own, right, our own, which is a piece of ownership, it goes back to my personal importance and desire of having ownership in my business, having multiple properties, making sure my children have properties so that when they turn 18, they can sell it, they can live in it, they can Airbnb it. I want to empower not only myself, but the generations to come to own, because when you own, it cannot be taken away. And one thing that we do always come here owning is our brain. Can't no one take your knowledge away. And so if there's anything that you can own now, it is your knowledge. And don't worry about, oh, well, what if I don't have enough money? That's fine. You can go to the Black Business School, start learning about stocks, because that is a way that you can begin to own. But in the meantime, you can own your knowledge.
Well, everybody, actually, before I ask Kash-Wayne the next question, I want to do a little stupid pet trick with you guys real quick. I would like to show you how to become a business owner in 2 minutes. And some of you may have seen it before. If so, I apologize. But so you want, let me know, give me a yes or no in the chat if you want me to show you how to be a business owner in 2 minutes or less. Okay, so here's how you become a business owner in 2 minutes or less. You ready? All right. Open up your app, open up your phone, download like Robinhood, Stash, or Acorn, and pick a share of stock, pick a company, McDonald's, Starbucks, or whatever. Buy $10 worth of stock in that company or whatever amount. Most of these do fractional shares, or Cash App. Actually, Cash App does fractional shares. Buy $10 worth of McDonald's or whatever. I'm not recommending that company. It's a good company, but there are others out there. And then you will become a business owner. You will become a business owner. So everybody who hasn't done it yet, just open up the app, open up the Cash App. I'm gonna open up my Cash App. Let me see. Somebody give me a stock in the chat to own today. I'm going to become more of a business owner. I already own businesses, but what business should I own now? Cash, you want to make a recommendation?
Ford is up 1.4. Ford is up right now.
Okay.
General Electric.
All right, so I can sit back. So Ford is making money, and it's funny, Kash. You mentioned Ford, and I realized I am an owner in Ford already, and I invested $1,000. That grew to $1,487. So imagine buying a house for $100,000, and the value of the home going to $148,000 within 1 year. Like that would be amazing, right? That's a hell of an ROI, right? Yeah. So everybody, I'm gonna get in here. That's what we should just start doing every day. Like when we're in, just everybody hop on your Cash App and just buy some stock. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hop in here, man, and I'm gonna buy $100 worth of Ford, and I'm hitting next. And now I am an owner in Ford. I'm more deeply invested in the Ford Motor Company. So remember, because you got two choices, right? You can sit back and say, oh man, this ain't right. The white man own everything. I can't own nothing. This is terrible. This is racism, y'all. Or you just jump in and just own what they own. And then next thing you know, you feel empowered. I mean, it's psychologically rewarding. Kash, I want to ask you about that, Kash. I mean, I think that ownership, and this is, a man-to-man conversation, not that Jessica's excluded from this at all, but just as a Black man, Kash-Wayne, I feel like ownership is just so empowering. It's like, for us guys, it's kind of a chest thumping activity. For women, it's very empowering. Right? My daughters are they own stock already. But for me as a man, it feels so much better to own something than to have somebody own you. Can you speak on that, or am I just talking crazy?
Absolutely. Ownership is so important. And I tell my clients this all the time. This is a really simple story in my life that how I really learned the value of ownership. I remember renting, growing up with my family, and we used to rent here in Long Island. And, if we're making noise or something in the home that we're paying for we're paying the rent monthly, the landlord lived downstairs. So she used to take the broom and just hit the floor and tell us to be quiet. Right. So, at that point, when we bought our first home, that's how I really started to learn the value of ownership. We could go in the backyard. We can, walk around and do what we want to do on the property, and also when you own a home, guys, remember that, you also have equity. Equity is a thing that we usually don't speak a lot about in the Black community, on how you can utilize equity to leverage to move forward, right? Because let's say you own a property that's worth $400,000, but you have $200,000 equity. You can borrow against that equity. If you have to send a child to college or you want to start a business, you're able to borrow from that equity. So ownership is important. And also you can pass that property or that business on to someone else. So now we're talking generational wealth when it comes to ownership. If you do not own it, you cannot pass it to Timmy once he reaches 18 or 20. You cannot continue to grow your family as far as when it comes to generational wealth if you do not own it. We're continuously starting over usually every generation if we're not own it.
And and I like what you're addressing in terms of that power of ownership and how it propels you forward. A lot of us knew this. I mean, how many of you in the chat, give me a yes or no if you've ever heard people say things like, well, it takes money to make money. And that's not completely true in the sense that it's not that it's untrue, but I want to nuance that statement a little bit. It's not so much just that it takes money to make money, but having money helps you to make money, right? There are people in this country that make more money in a day while they're sleeping than a lot of people make in a whole year while working. And also, a more precise way to describe that, in my view, is that it doesn't necessarily always take money to make money, but it takes capital to make money.
Of course. Right.
So that real estate you're talking about, that is capital, which can be converted into money, right? Or if I own crypto or whatever I own, that is capital. And the capital that we're trained to use as Black people is our what is called human capital, meaning your labor, and you get the college degree, which increases the productivity of your human capital. And the limitation of human capital is that it depletes. You get old, you get tired. You don't want to work 80 hours a week when you're 60 years old, right? Or even if you're LeBron James, he knows he's not going to play basketball forever. His human capital is enormous because he's 6'8", 250 pounds, and can dunk a basketball. But 20 years from now, that human capital won't be able to generate revenue anymore. So what he's doing is he's taking his money, he's making money from his capital now, and he's converting that into other forms of capital that can live for 1,000 years. If he starts a production company with his children, that's going to be around after he's dead. If he buys real estate, that's going to be around 200 years from now, right? So that acquiring capital, I want everybody to listen. Like, that's the key. Like, that's really the key. And here's a funny thing this is obvious, but I think it's important to bring up the obvious to kind of drill into this. Jessica, do you not find it almost hilarious that if you look at the amount of money that most of us pay in rent, that amount exceeds the amount that we would pay with a mortgage? Right? I find that to be one of the most paradoxical realities of wealth building that you like. I own a property, right? A condo. We rented it. Alicia and I rented out. The tenant pays this much in rent. The mortgage is that much. So I said, this is insane. This is crazy that my tenant is paying our mortgage and we're the ones who get to pass this building to our kids. Can you speak on that, please?
Absolutely. So it really goes back to the emotional and mental blocks that we have, right? And we've been conditioned to stay as the renter, as someone that doesn't own, right? Because they own us, right? So that mentality has been passed on generation by generation. So then here we are in 2020. So many of us are just okay with paying the extra dollar just because we don't want to spend some extra time fixing our credit, working with a lender that really wants to assist us and being able to be workable, right? Like, we have to do the work as well. And a lot of times we tend to not want to actually address our credit, actually save the money that's required for that down payment, or we don't even want to learn how we can expand in other ways, so that there's so many different programs out there, 0 down payment programs, opportunities to where you don't need any money, but we don't want to do the research. And we're okay with just spending the extra dollar now than actually doing the work to simplify the process and pass down that legacy. I see it in real estate all the time.
Well, everybody who just tuned in, I hope you're listening. I hope you're paying attention. I'm speaking with Miss Jessica Parker and Kash-Wayne Campbell. Kash-Wayne is a real estate expert. And I know, Jessica, you're involved in real estate too, right? You're an agent, or what do you do in real estate?
Yeah. So I consider myself a behind the scenes agent for agents, right? So I do still collect referral, but my team, my company, we specialize in serving real estate individuals and teams to help elevate and scale their businesses. So I love to still learn about real estate and help families, but I have a network of agents. So I'm really good at that behind the scenes experience. So Cash is actually one of the agents that we work with. He has a team in New York, Miami, and Atlanta. And so we're assisting him with expanding his business into now coaching. So I actually started as an agent 8 years ago, shifted into coaching, and then now I coach the coaches, right? So that's what we do.
Wow. Well, I really love it. And everybody who's watching, if you could hit the thumbs up button, please hit the thumbs up, share, subscribe button. And also, before I get to the last question for our panelists, I want to mention to you guys that if you go to allblackeconomics.com, I actually have a book called It Takes a Village to Raise the Bar. You can have it for free. Go to allblackeconomics.com, just sign up and you can have the book totally for free. And we'll send you lots of free stuff via email. So there's a URL. Now, I want to ask you this, Kash-Wayne. Can you give me maybe in a summary, what you see as kind of the 2 or 3 biggest obstacles to home ownership? I assume well, first of all, let me ask you a quick question and then I'll dig deeper. Do you believe home ownership typically is a good move for most people? Would you say? Because that seems like that's debatable. You got guys like Grant Cardone who are saying you shouldn't own a home. I didn't agree with that. What do you think?
Listen, I think home ownership is probably one of the best things a family can do, right? And I said this on my live the other day and people laughed, but it's serious. What if you're walking down the street and you're just by mistaken identity, the cops pick you up, right? And you don't have the money to get out, but you have a home. And people don't really think about this, where in our communities, you can use the house to get out. And this is just a mistaken identity until we figure it out. But you just got picked up and you need to get out. What can you do? You can't put up the house you're renting. It's funny, but you can't put up the house you're renting, and also, like I said, with the equity, with the equity in the home, we can actually utilize the equity to do a lot to get further in life.
Man, you threw out a real life example right there. That's real. I mean, that's if you think about the fact that most Americans can't even come up with a couple of grand for a financial emergency. If you got that house and your rent, a portion of your rent money has been going toward home equity, and you're getting the capital gains, that gives you a little piggy bank you can lean on. It gives you a capital base.
Absolutely,
and that's an important concept I want everybody to walk away with, because that's why you felt like a slave your whole life, is because nobody left you a capital base. If somebody, like with my girls and especially my girls and also my sons as well, my thought is I just want to leave you a capital base so you have something you can draw, a little piggy bank you can draw on when life starts hitting you upside the head. When you decide you want to own a home, you dig in the piggy bank, you get your down payment so you're not a slave to your landlord for life. If you want to quit your job, you decide you want to cuss your boss out on a Tuesday, no problem. Dig in your piggy bank. That'll hold you over until you get your next job. You get out of college. You don't want to be stuck with student loan debt till you're 70 years old. We dig in the piggy bank. We get you through school without it costing a lot of money. You want to start that business? Well, you're not sitting there on $1 million idea because you can't get $5,000, right? How many $1 million ideas in the Black community die because the originator of the idea can't get $5,000 to get started? I mean, think about this, right? You dig in that piggy bank, $5,000. Okay, let's do this, right? So that little piggy bank, that equity that he's talking about, is so important, and I just love it, man. So what's funny is okay, here we go. There we go. I had a bigger question for Kash-Wayne, and Kash-Wayne.
Dr. Boyce, real quick, one thing I just wanted to mention as well. Sure. A lot of people have limiting beliefs. When I speak to people, I don't have enough money. Always remember, when you are going to get an apartment here in New York, you have first, security, and there's a brokerage fee. That's a down payment on a home pretty much. So what we can actually do is take that money, that money you're going to use for that rental, put it as a down payment on a home. Then I can also most likely negotiate what's called a seller's concession, where we're asking the seller to pay your closing costs or a portion of your closing costs. So all we're really doing is taking you to the table with a down payment and we're working out the closing costs, in other words. So keep that in mind, for everyone who's listening.
I like that a lot. And I think that's a great point. I mean, in New York, and I know Andre C. Hatchett's up there, and he tells a story. It's really interesting. I think Andre's from Jamaica also, and I really applaud my Jamaican friends, because I really feel like there's something culturally that speaks to, and again, I'm stereotyping like crazy, so it's going to be politically incorrect, but most of my Jamaican friends, very few of them are stupid, because their families value education. And a lot of them do great things when it comes to ownership and business development, things like that. Am I wrong to point that out? I mean, I assume I know every Jamaican isn't perfect. We know this, right? But I think that speaks to culture, right? It speaks to really understanding the importance when you create the culture in your own family. Like every family has a culture. I think it's important to critically analyze and say, what is our culture? Is our culture built on ownership or on rentership? Is it built on building or is it built on destroying? Right? What do you think about that? Was I off base to make that point?
I can say this. Growing up in the Caribbean, I still have family members who hate each other over land today. It's built primarily.
Wow.
It's built primarily on ownership. So back home, everybody wants a piece of land, or if you feel like you're entitled to it. There are stories in the news all over Jamaica where, people even get into serious disputes over land. When it comes down to land and ownership, that is so important in the Caribbean. And like my family, when they came here, they worked. But one of the most important things that everybody did, they purchased a home of their own. They didn't get investment properties, but everybody wanted a home of their own. So ownership is so important in the culture.
Wow. And so what I want everybody in here to do, and this is not me saying on any level that our culture is all bad. I think American descendants of slaves, all of us that have had the American experience, we have strengths that are wonderful and amazing. But one of the things I think we can also do is learn from other people and learn from what their families are doing. So I want everybody in here to take charge of the culture in your household and type the word ownership in the chat. Type ownership. Everybody type ownership. Because I know that in our household, one of the things I talk to my girls about all the time, I say my girls because we got the 17-year-old who's on his way to college, and we've had that talk too. But I just think about my girls, and I think about all the ways that you see women that become vulnerable. And maybe Jessica, maybe you can speak to this, who become vulnerable because of where they are financially, right? Like, I don't know. I'm married to Derek Jackson, and now that I'm going through all this craziness, I got, this man's making millions of dollars, and maybe I can't maintain a lifestyle or whatever. I'm being silly. I'm being a jerk when you make that point. I'm gonna take that back. But seriously though, like I'm in a situation where I can't leave the relationship because I can't afford to pay the bills, or I don't have access to resources, and I really think that in my view, for their protection, I talk to them a lot about ownership of land, ownership of stock, ownership of a business, right? Which means you own your job. You own you own a piece of America, all these companies, and you own real estate, which is something that is never going to go away. God will never make more real estate. It is a naturally beautiful commodity because it has restricted supply from the very beginning. So Jessica, could you speak to that just as a woman?
Yeah.
In terms of the importance of women owning things.
Yes, absolutely. So I remember growing up, my father would always tell me, Jessica, I want you to make sure that you have enough money to where you don't ever need a man, because this world has kind of taught us as women, like, that old school mentality. My parents, they were older. So it was like they got married young and my mom was a stay-at-home mom. But my father always realized that I was a very independent child, and he knew I would become a very independent woman. And so he always would tell me, like, you don't need a man, make your own money. So even as a child, I had my own business, and then that traveled with me. I was in high school and college at the same time. I had a job and a side business. And then when my husband left me unexpectedly, I started another business. So I never, even when situations came up, I never was any shock or panic, because I already had my own income. And so for all of the women out there that maybe you are in a relationship and you're not leaving him because of money, I want you to tap into your power today. Take some time after this live, do a meditation, go for a walk, do some journaling, and identify what you want to do and how you can monetize it. Because the things that we enjoy, there is a reason why we enjoy them. And typically we can turn what we enjoy into some type of business monetization. Again, take your 2 minutes, start investing in stocks, and take it to the next level and really identify how you can make some more money. Because you, especially if you're a woman and a mom, as a mom, we must show that we do need our dads. We do need our men. I'm not saying that, but we should need them for the right things, right? And we should never be in a situation longer than we should be based off of, oh, I need his money, or, oh, I can't survive. So if you're a mom, if you're a woman without children yet, and you don't have a business, you're late. You're just late. So too many opportunities out here, whether it's in real estate, whether it's another type of business. If you want to write a book, if you want to start an online course, there's so many different ways to monetize. YouTube University, blackbusinessschool.com, connectwithcash.com. We are here to help you. And there's so many resources out here to align you in the right direction so that you can start monetizing what you enjoy doing.
All right. And now you mentioned the last URL. I want to put that on the screen. You said connectwithcash.com?
Yes, connectwithcash.com. So I'll just brag on Kash real quick.
Kash, not Cash.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. I say Cash too. So I'm slapping myself. Kash, say it right.
Yes.
Go ahead, please.
Yes, so Kash is an amazing leader, not only in real estate, but in business as a whole. So if you are that woman and something resonated, if you are just listening, it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, but you want to level up in your life and your business, definitely connect with him. He's about to launch a mastermind for entrepreneurs and for people who are looking to level up with business and with ownership. And he's creating a new type of community for those type of individuals to learn how you can scale your business through connections. Because now more than ever before, Facebook ads is all over the place. There's so many different types of ads that we have used to use. And now more than ever before, it's about the connection, not the ad. And I'm not putting down ads. And I'm sure Dr. Watkins, that's another conversation, especially when it comes to Facebook ads. But stop depending on someone else to make you money. You have everything within inside yourself to attract your clients. So definitely get on his list, connectwithcash.com, and you will exclusively be in the know of when that mastermind is launching.
Absolutely.
All right. So any last words from you, Kash-Wayne? Any thoughts in terms of ownership? I mean, I like this conversation because I think that it's really important, I think, to encourage those who are watching that understand. Sometimes we know the right thing to do, but then actually doing it requires like some support to gain the confidence, right? Because I can say, you know, the reason I think culture was so important is because I remember being in graduate school and I studied all this stuff about finance and investing. But if you went back to when I was 29 years old, I didn't own any stock. You know, I didn't, because I was studying it. Like I knew all about it, but I just kind of, honestly, I think subconsciously, I hate admitting this, but I believe that I felt like that was the kind of stuff white people did, you know, or that rich people did. And I wasn't white and I wasn't rich. And that was my limiting belief. Even though I knew everything in theory, what I was supposed to do, I didn't actually do it in my life at that time. So can you speak to that in terms of taking those steps to move forward and to actually learn how to own assets and things like that? Gosh.
Yeah, I mean, I believe, you know, it starts with just seeking the information, you know, getting around the right mentors, as far as the Black Business School offers a lot of courses and things like that. So getting with the right channels in order to further your knowledge. And sometimes what people need is just a little push, and once you get around those connections in the right circle and you're taking in the right information, that's another thing. When you're here on social media, are you watching fight videos with people fighting all day and cursing, or are you getting on here and you're watching, Dr. Boyce and the information that he's given out on financial literacy? So sometimes we also have to uncondition ourselves from some of that negative information that we're taking in to stay positive, to keep a positive mindset. All right. So focus on and follow pages and connect with people who are speaking about ownership within the community.
All right. Well, I want to say thank you so much to our guests, and I hope that you all will join me in giving a digital thank you and a digital round of applause to Miss Jessica Parker and Mr. Kash-Wayne Campbell. And Kash-Wayne's website is connectwithkash.com. So feel free to take a look at that. And also, of course, you guys know about the Black Business School, but I'm not going to talk about that anymore. I want you to take a look at connectwithkash.com, because he's a smart brother, and Jessica's a smart Black woman, and we have enough smart people in our community that we don't have to go $100,000 in student loan debt to learn what we need to learn. We have all the resources we need in our community. We have everything that we need right here. So support Black businesses. God bless everybody. Hit the thumbs up button and share, subscribe on your way out. And we are gone. Please have a good day. Bye-bye. Hey, all right. Thank you, guys.